Hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review, your source for everything One Piece. Today we have a manga review of chapter 887, Somewhere Someone is Wishing for Your Happiness. And we're going to start out in a very somber mood this week, as we say goodbye to the one and only Pound. That's right, the guy who I always complained about having no real purpose in the story, well and truly served a purpose this chapter. Man, I just did not expect that. I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely not a fan of Pound in any way, shape, or form. But he was just plain awesome this chapter, sacrificing himself for his daughter and grandson who he hadn't even met. Oda has this talent for making you feel for characters you never imagined you'd ever care about. And the worst part of this was when baby Pez was crying. Oh, it was heartbreaking. And that heartbreak probably isn't over either. It's not as if Chiffon is just gonna go on with her life never knowing who Pound was. Nami met Pound, and she knows that he's Chiffon's father, so at the end of this arc she'll probably tell her. Or actually, maybe she won't. Whatever the case, I bet Chiffon will recount the events to Nami, who will certainly realize that it was Pound, but maybe to spare Chiffon the heartbreak of losing her father, she'll just keep it to herself. It could go either way, really. And you know, because this is One Piece, we do actually need to have this discussion. Is Pound really dead? In this case, I'd say an overwhelming yes. Even though all we saw was the blood-stained sword, I think it's pretty clear. There's an old rule about just considering people alive until you see a corpse, but remember, this is a shonen manga, so when people actually die, it needs to be handled quite carefully. Like during Big Mom's Flashback when she ate an entire orphanage along with Mother Caramel. I also think that Pound somehow surviving all of this would destroy the meaning of the entire chapter. I mean, he just had so many great character moments culminating in that perfect ending. The panel of him whacking Oven over the head is simply glorious, and I really love that Pound took a few moments to straighten his tie before meeting his demise. He also died with a smile on his face, and his last words were congratulating Chiffon on her marriage. His death reminds me of a flashback. You know, that smile is just like Hiruluk, Saul, or even Goldie Roger himself. It's incredibly heartbreaking, but at the same time you can't help but feel that little bit of happiness for them, because they had no regrets, and went out entirely on their own terms. Well played once again, Oda. Well played. And this is also another good reminder that you can't just mess with an emperor and expect to get away with it without loss. We already experienced loss with Pedro, but here we had another situation where everyone on that ship simply would have died if not for the sacrifice of an ally. I'm not so sure that these sacrifices are finished either. I'm thinking of the Germa, and in particular, I'm thinking of Judge. He and all of the Germa siblings were already ready to sacrifice themselves to let the Allied forces get away from Whole Cake Chateau, so I don't see why they wouldn't again. Except I don't expect the siblings to die. I think that Judge will finally do something decent in his life, and you know, a few chapters down the line, I'll be talking about how I never expected to care about Judge, but here we are again. Well played, Oda, etc. But moving away from all this doom and gloom, we also got a glimpse of a younger Big Mom from the days when Pound was married to her. And you know what? She's actually kind of a babe. It's getting less and less difficult to believe that she had so many husbands, although some of her kids are actually pretty damn young, so there must have been some poor souls who had to, impregnate her in her current form. And that's not a great thought. However, what is great was seeing more of Oven's Heat Devil Fruit. It was really cool that he just went and boiled the sea to stop Capone's ship leaving, and what's more, it actually had extended relevance to the plot. Not only did it represent the threat of imminent doom, but it was actually starting to mess with the cake by affecting its temperature. However, they did get away with the cake intact, and in all likelihood, Oven is going to pursue them and have a final confrontation with someone. It may even be Sanji, actually. After last week, I felt for sure it was Capone's turn to take down a big shot, and I am actually kind of disappointed that we didn't get to see him fight properly. I hope we do get to see Capone in a one-on-one confrontation, but this retreat does leave the door wide open for Sanji versus Oven. And that is a really good matchup for Sanji in my eyes. Oven is dangerous because of his heat, but you know, Sanji fights with his legs coated in extreme heat, so Oven should have no real impact on him. Although I guess at the same time, Sanji's Diablo Jumbo won't quite have the same impact on Oven either because, well, he's used to being super hot. Their abilities might cancel each other out, so it might come down to a question of whoever is the strongest. Which is Sanji, of course. And in the final part of this chapter, Big Mom has caught up with the Sunny crew yet again, and I'm really hoping that this means we are shooting towards a climax very, very soon. Sanji and Capone are en route from Chocolate Town, and the cake is being decorated as we speak. So it looks like this arc really could end with a sea battle, which is exceptionally rare. I don't think we've actually seen one since Baratier, and does that really count? Kind of, I guess. But with that armada behind Big Mom, it seems like we'll be engaging in a classic pirate battle that will push everyone to their limits. Each of our main characters will probably get a Charlotte sibling to face. In my mind, Sanji is already booked on a date with Oven. But there's also that genie guy, the third son. What's his name? Daifuku, I think. He might be a good opponent for Jinbei. The first daughter Kompot is also about, and she could go to either Nami or Chopper or both. Perospero is definitely getting beat down by Carrot as revenge for Pedro. And as for Brook, I'm not sure actually. Maybe he could face off against Amand. Anyway, all of these predictions are incredibly likely to be wrong, so let's just end by pointing out that in that panel with Big Mom at the end, it looks like the sky is dark. So we're also going to be fighting under a full moon. That means that Were Carrot can show up and wreck some face, ideally Perospero's face, but we'll take any Big Mom pirate at this point. And that pretty much does it for this week's chapter. No Luffy versus Katakuri, which is a shame, given how the last chapter ended, but it is nice to take a break from that fight and let some time pass. That way Luffy should be up and running with Gear 4th by the next time we see him. If you enjoyed this video, then please feel free to like, favorite, or subscribe, and please do comment with your thoughts on the chapter. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time.